Well, when we're talking mental health, I think one of the major things that comes up a lot is finding meaning and purpose. And the lack of meaning and purpose is one of the biggest contributors to the decline and the effect of mental health. And with that, there's one particular culprit I'd like to talk about, which is something that's pervasive in our culture. Something that's sometimes very obvious and sometimes not so obvious in our culture, that has to do with pornography. Now, when I say pornography, I'm not talking about so much about the obvious adult entertainment industry and all that entails, which is, of course, pornography, but more in a broad way, understanding what pornography is in our culture and how it really works, I think is important to understand because it has a huge effect on one's mental health and emotional health too. And so I bring up the idea of pornography. I am looking at this in a broader sense of the word, as defined by these four characteristics. One, anything that raises raw emotion. Anything that objectifies mind, body, and soul. And anything that lacks meaning. And at the end of it, you're forced to kind of create your own meaning. And so as we take maybe a 1,000-foot view and look at that definition, we can almost apply that to many things in culture. Those four elements that, again, that objectifies mind, body, and soul, raises raw emotion, and lacks meaning, you have to create your own meaning, can definitely fit into the idea of pornography. And that lends itself to lots of different things. And those things seem to hook the heart and soul and create this addictive type dynamic. And that's very alluring because it gives one the sense of meaning and purpose and a way out sometimes. And that becomes the addictive quality. And until you realize you've just been robbed emotionally and mentally and spiritually. And that's why it's easy to try and find and tap meaning into those kinds of things. And so it's important to, I guess, one, be aware. Where do we find meaning and purpose? And that again now goes a step further into a spiritual situation. And how do we find meaning and purpose in life? You know, I think the idea of addiction exposes the reality that we worship. We're worshipful beings in search of something to worship. And in our lives, if we aren't clear on that, we find ourselves serving and bowing to something that can't handle that. And then the quest is to find something that works spiritually in your life that is worthy of worship, which therefore brings the conversation to God. And who is God to you? And who is God? And it's the best quest one could go on. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about meaning and purpose. And without that, life is empty. And so this little segment is a warning about what might you be worshiping, and to be careful about what might be alluring around you.